Hello, I'm Jacob. It's Tactical Tuesday. This is the Prepper's Bunker. Today we're going to do video number 3 on building an R&R kit. To see the first video, how to pick a bag and choose how to pack it, you can look at the link here. And for the second video on how to set up a kit and some things to consider, I'll try and put a link up here. Today we're going to talk about your gun. We're going to talk about things you want to consider for caliber and action, and things to consider for how you set it up. So stick around and let's talk guns. When it comes to your R&R kit, when you're choosing a rifle, you want to think about things much in the same way as you do with your pack and with your war belt. That is, you want something lightweight. You really want to think about camouflage, and ideally you want something that can reach out there and touch somebody, because getting close essentially equates to getting dead. The first thing that we'll talk about is caliber. Now, most of the people who are watching this are probably running or probably going to run 5.56. There are some things to consider with 5.56 or 2.23. You'll see here that I took a vehicle dynamics class with John Farnham, DTI, and we did a lot of shooting into cars, and there are a few important things that we learned.
Go ahead. Okay.
Wow.
Your 5.56 or 2.23 is not a very effective penetration caliber. It was not very effective in punching through a normal car through sheet metal, and if the car is moving and you're shooting at an angle, it's much less effective. With a moving vehicle, normal cars' body panels are almost like body armor for these smaller, lighter calibers. 7.62 by 39 performed much better, but we're not talking about clearing rooms and frontline fighting. We're talking about recon and resistance. We want a bit of range. Either 5.56 or 7.62 by 39 will work a lot better than nothing, but we really want to focus on the 300 to 500 meter range, and for that I think some of your best choices are going to be 308 and 7.62 by 54R for their ability to reach out and still have the energy needed to get the job done. What type of action you choose is also very important. Are you going to choose to run a semi-auto or a bolt gun? Now, bolt guns may have an inherent advantage in reliability, but semi-autos have come a very long way both in accuracy and reliability, where if you can afford them, they almost negate the benefits of a bolt gun, except for what I just mentioned, which is cost. I chose to go with the DPMS second generation Recon here. They've been very reliable. They've proved to be great rifles, and very importantly, they're lightweight. In fact, this rifle weighs about the same amount as the Ruger Gunsight Scout bolt action, which is another rifle that I was considering when I chose this one. So the benefits of semi-automatic are innumerable, It's going to be a personal decision which way you go. Your optics are going to be very important. How you set it up is going to be very important. We'll talk about that next. I wouldn't say that either option is wrong, so long as you have a lot of training with whichever you choose. Next, we're going to talk about accessories, or how you set your rifle up, whatever it is. Being that we're talking about lightweight and somewhat stealthy, you need to be able to walk with this rifle for a very long period of time. We're going to talk about 3 categories here: general accessories, your sling, and your color. So with your general accessories, if you don't need it, take it off. If you've got every whiz-bang thing that you've seen on the NC Star catalog or Shotgun News or some Hollywood TV show, if you're trying to copy soldiers, this, that, or the other, take all that crap off. Got a flashlight? Throw it in your bag. You're probably not going to need it. Got a laser? Throw it in the trash. Probably. You're certainly not going to be using it. I'm going to throw optics into the accessories category. We're talking about shooting ideally 300 to 500 meters. A general rule is you want 1 power of magnification per 100 yards. At a minimum, that means a 10 power scope for 1,000 yards, a 3 power scope for 300 yards, and so on and so forth. So what I've got here is a Leupold VXR Patrol 1 to 4 power. Should cover the bases out to 400 yards. I do admit that I need to spend a lot of time stretching this thing out, ideally to the 600 mark. So we'll see how that goes. But you want something lightweight and tough. You cannot skimp on your optics. You can't. It's not going to happen. If you're thinking about building yourself a duty rifle, a rifle that you're actually could be using for an R&R scenario, your scope should probably cost about as much as your rifle. That's what's going to happen. If you put some inferior stuff on there, you're going to get inferior results. Do not skimp on your glass. The next thing that I said we're going to talk about is a sling. Now, a sling is an accessory, right? But for what we're talking about today, it's so important that I feel that it needs to be spoken of on its own. Now, this R&R concept is what I've based this channel on, what I've based my business on, and what I've based a lot of my life on, which led me to specifically design the Beechin Tactical Speed Sling. But in general terms, let's talk about what you need to look for. Your rifle sling is very much like a holster for your pistol. It's going to hold your gun while your hands can't be on it and while you're moving. You want, if you've gone through the time to ensure that your firearm is camouflage, you probably don't want a simple black sling. You're creating stark, direct lines that the eye can catch easily. So at least some level of color is certainly a plus. Your sling has got to be comfortable. If you're going to be pulling a trigger for a minute or an hour, to get to that point, you're probably going to be sucking on foot for 10 hours, for 100 hours, for 1,000 hours. And that's ideal for recon and resistance, because running and gunning is how you get dead. You're carrying this rifle in case something goes wrong, for breaking contact, or for, in a rare scenario, possibly for an attack. Now we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about actual tactics in the 4th R&R video. But your sling needs to be comfortable for however you're going to wear it. I wanted to be able to transition my rifle to my back if I had to, so I can climb and do other things. I wanted to be able to adjust it quickly and easily, and I wanted it to be equally comfortable front and back. I also wanted to be able to take it off and get it out of the way easily, because I don't like having all kinds of crap dangling all over the place and getting caught and twisted and whatever the case may be. So ideally, camouflage pattern. You can put sticks and debris into your sling for further camouflage if you want to with the Beach and Tactical Speed Sling. But no matter what your decision, like I said, it needs to be flexible for what you need to do. It needs to be comfortable, and it needs to be versatile. A simple Cordura nylon strap is probably not going to cut it, and something that's $5 or $10 at the local Milsurp shop or online or whatever, probably not going to do the job. While in Afghanistan, I hated the sling that we were issued because it was thin and complicated, difficult to remove quickly, etc., etc. So I bought a 1-point sling. Well, the 1-point sling was equally uncomfortable, and if I was trying to go hands-free, it was absolutely worthless. If you can't do the things that you need to do with your hands without having your hands on your rifle, there's no point in having a sling. So consider that your sling needs to work with your hands off. Again, this is like a holster. So if I'm about to go kick in some doors or do some serious fighting, am I going to walk into the situation like this? No. I'm going to yank the sucker off and get it out of the way, or I'm going to use my QD swivels and pop it right off and throw it in the bag, because I don't need to be screwing with something else that can go wrong, get caught up, whatever the case may be if you're actually fighting. Again, your rifle sling is like a holster. The last thing that we were going to talk about is color. The camouflage that you use does not actually have to be ideal for your environment, but it does need to break up the general outline of whatever it is that's being camouflaged. And this concept is incredibly important if you're going to be resisting a logistically and numerically superior force, or doing reconnaissance. Not being seen is very closely tied to not getting dead. Now, your standard black rifle is obviously better than something shiny, but what you're looking to avoid is creating hard lines. That is, lines that the eye quickly picks up. The camouflage that I have on my AR here, the DPMS G2 Recon, was done by Mon Tactical. It is called Riptile Sabertooth. I chose it because it's light in color, it can be darkened, it can be modified, and it can work in a wide range of environments. He did an incredible job. Now, if you don't want to go the super premium route like that, a can of Krylon will do the job. Ideally, a couple cans. And realistically, that's what a lot of the trigger pullers do. A lot of the guys who are actually needing to camo their guns, they're Kryloned. This is a tool. You're not worried about little things. You don't care about little scratches, dirt, whatever the case may be. This is a tool, and by coloring it, what you're doing is not making it look cool, you're making it more functional and more able to do its job. That's what tactics and being tactical is about. Having gear that better enables you to complete the mission. It's not some kind of goofy mall ninja bullcrap. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Like usual, my goal here today is not to give you the answer. It's to get you thinking. To think about the direction that you want to head in, and hopefully to separate concepts that could be based in fantasy and reality. The reality of combat, much like survival, is that as much as it's romanticized, beautified, fantasized, as much as Hollywood tries to portray it, they want you to see something that is not the reality. The reality is, for either, is that for the 1 second of cool stuff that you do, there's days of just suckfest. It sucks. The problem is, in the consumer market, everybody wants to sell you something. And the best way to sell something is to check 2 blocks. Number 1, make it cheap. Number 2, make it look cool. We have a lot of cheap, cool-looking products on the market today in any category that are 100% worthless. And if you buy something because it's cheap, but it's worthless, then it's not cheap. Then actually, it's exceptionally expensive because you wasted your money. I'd much rather save and spend $1,000 on something that I use regularly for the rest of my life than spend $100 on something I never use because it's a piece of crap, and I would have been better off buying toilet paper to wipe my butt with it. It's a bad market out there, guys. It's a bad market especially for anybody who doesn't have experience with what they're purchasing. I want you to consider what could be the reality of the situation that you're preparing for, and then decide how you're going to go forward from there. Recon and resistance, make it light. Hopefully you never have to fire a shot and you're never seen, because that's the best way to get dead, and at the end of the day, it's our goal to avoid that end. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I like talking to you guys, and I hope that you have a blessed day.
The Ancient March, played by the United States Marine Pipe and the Drum Corps.